Welcome back. As we earlier said, looking back at the lives of ancient Egyptians and the pharaohs, people made mistakes and they will continue to make mistakes. But there were there famous mistakes and foolish mistakes, in other words, at the time of ancient Egyptians, and how did they handle them? How did they handle critical situations? How did they handle the foolish mistakes of leaders and governors and other mistakes that could cause fatal critical situations in life? And this is what Mr. Bassam Shammaa, the historian and author of Egyptology, is going to talk to us about today. Of course, nobody knows better than him about the lives of ancient Egyptians. Good morning, Mr. Shammaa.
Good morning to you.
How are you doing today?
A very good morning to you, sir.
Thank you very much.
As Dina mentioned, we are going to tackle the mistakes, or at least rumors or assumptions when it comes to the pharaohs. I myself have 3 points which I really want to elaborate or to shed light on. Number one, those who are saying that the pyramids were built by force or by labor force. Number two, that the prophet, that the pharaoh of Moses is one of the Ramses, or he's Ramses the second or the third, something like that. I don't know on what basis. Number three, which is the lightest, that the Egyptians should fear to have a black cat, or to see a black cat in the morning cold. This is going to be such a very negative and bad omen, despite the fact that the black cat was a goddess, as far as I know. So are these among the mistakes?
History is very interesting, and cultures to be studied, you have to theorize, and you have the facts. And facts are very rare, very seldom you find facts in history, because who writes history? Who wrote history? Who carved on the walls of the temples? Well, they were the orders of the king, and the temple is the blowhorn of the king. It is, if you like, the huge media of the king. So we're never going to see a king who is sick, who is ill, who is feeble.
Weak, in a way.
Who is feeble, weak, right. Maybe a little bit of wrinkles on the face. Very rarely you found this. And that's why when you are rewriting history, as we were doing for the last almost 20 years or something, you depend upon people who attempted that. Assumptions are very crucial because you are trying all your life, trying to turn theories into facts. That's history and other things as well, and other sciences as well. Your 3 questions and inquiries are the 3 most asked, if you like. The first 2 are the most asked questions we get asked if you are tour guiding or if you are lecturing all the time. And it's been years that I've been trying to organize a lecture, and this is probably, inshallah, God willing, happening for the coming few, if you like, months or something. Al-Azhar, myself, my modest self, and a moderator. I'm bringing the history, and Al-Azhar is bringing the translation of the meanings of the Holy Quran. Perhaps we are going to reach somewhere about the Pharaoh of Prophet Moses, peace be unto him. Very important to know that big names made mistakes, and amazing mistakes. Let's take a good example for that. Champollion, the man who's called father of Egyptology. He's called the man who translated and transliterated the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. The man who, if you like, opened the gates of understanding of our culture. A man who made a great job. He died young, 42 years of age. A bit of a nervous character, but that's fine. And you'll be amazed to know that in his letters that he sent to his brother from Egypt, he visited Egypt years after the decipherment of the Rosetta Stela. Can you imagine this? So Champollion deciphered the Rosetta Stela, one, not from the Rosetta Stela, from a copy. So he didn't see it. He saw it afterwards, 2 years afterwards. And he didn't come to Egypt, but years after he deciphered. When he was in Egypt, he also sent letters to his brother in France, and these letters were translated, and it reached me. And I'm reading about it, the most interesting. For example, he stands in front of a monument of Ramesses II, Ramses, right? And he's translating the cartouche into Sesostris. What? The man who deciphered hieroglyphs are making a mistake in one of the most famous cartouche, the most famous royal name in history, turning Ramesses II of the New Kingdom into Sesostris of the Middle Kingdom. Not even from the Ramesside family, as you mentioned, Because in ancient Egypt, there were 11 Ramesses. From Ramesses the first to Ramesses the 11th. Most famous of which is Ramesses the second, Ramesses the third. Most beautiful tomb, blindfolded, Ramesses the third, Ramesses the ninth. Ramesses the sixth, you can make doctorates in the Valley of the Kings. If any of the students are listening to us now or seeing us, watching us, go to Ramesses the sixth, make doctorates about it. Only this tomb, you can make a doctorate about Ramesses. Anyway, so how did he fall into that? He went to Bani Hassan al-Mini and he started to talk about Ionic pillars and Greek pillars. The Bani Hassan is Middle Kingdom, almost 2000 BC. So what are you talking about? So when big names like that will put this. So unintentionally, the problem is with intentionally. And that's when Zionists come in. Zionists will come in, and an amazing famous name in the world's history, who wrote history of the world, by the way, from creation, as he's claiming, all the way until his time. Josephus the Jew. That's not me describing him, that's his title. That his title is Josephus al-Yahud, Josephus the Jew. Now this, can you imagine Josephus the Jew and he's writing Egyptian history, what is he going to write? Of course he's going to write it directed to a certain orientation, as we all know. But the interesting thing is not what they wrote. What I'm saying here for the last I don't know how many years, I'm saying what did we write? So your writing can be into one, writing your own history by your own hands. That's rewriting Egyptian history by Egyptian hands, which I've been doing for the last 15, 20 years in my lectures. And secondly is you have to reply. You have to kind of, not defeat, because it's a battle. Yeah, you can defeat that theories that you are bringing, like about Cleopatra, about the Pharaoh of Moses, peace be unto him, and so on and so forth. Pharaoh of Moses, peace be unto him. One, why are we referring to Pharaoh always? Think about that. Think about that, everybody, viewers. Why are we referring to Pharaoh of Moses, peace be unto him, as an Egyptian man? Why? Why are we concentrating in the fact that the Pharaoh should be Egyptian, or should have been Egyptian? Well, he could be a foreigner. We were conquered in the ancient times. The Hikah conquered us over 100 years. The Hyksos, they called Hikah in hieroglyphs. So perhaps he was a Hikah. Here you go.
Have we given them the title of a pharaoh? I mean, the invaders?
Here is your number two. The pyramids time, because they are trying to link between Pharaoh and the pyramids. So they build the pyramids. It's like this, or they build the pyramid. Right? Well, from the first dynasty all the way until the 18th dynasty, that's passing all the big pyramids, right? Of the 4th and the 5th and the 6th dynasties. And the amazing genius of poems, art, theater, all sorts of romantic stories, short stories, long stories of the Middle Kingdom. You want to learn literature in ancient Egypt, you want to learn hieroglyphs, you learn the Middle Kingdom hieroglyphs. It's the most poetic, the most elite language of ancient Egypt is the Middle Kingdom. So passing that as well, passing the Hikah, passing the Hyksos, all the way until the 18th dynasty, not one king of Egyptian origin was named Pharaoh or titled Pharaoh. Why did I say named? Because there is a very strong theory, and I love it. Can't confirm it to you, but I love it, that the king of the Exodus, if you like, was named Pharaoh, not titled Pharaoh.
And what is the difference between both?
The king of Upper and Lower Egypt, that's a title. The son of Ra, and by the way, it's Ra, ladies and gentlemen,
like
not
those
Ra.
are honorary titles?
Exactly. That's
there is
the
an
royal,
official one.
The titlery, if you like. That's the royal titlery, if you like. And from the other side, that's your name. My name is Bassam. If you want to say, oh, he's the most amazing, that's a title, right? Here's, I don't know the father, that's a title. Champollion, the father of Egyptology.
Nasser is a name, but president is a title.
Here you go.
Yeah.
So, the most amazing thing is, if Khufu, Khufuwi, Khunum Khufuwi, to say the name, Kha'ifra, Menkawra, Snefro, Munchtib, the second unificator of Upper Asia, very important man. And all of those guys, we didn't find one text which is previously mentioned or after the cartouche or after the name or the royal name with the title or with the name Per-A. So how do we answer, how do we solve this dilemma, if you like? This is not ambiguous, but all cultures are ambiguous. We have to say that. All cultures are a bit like this, like hazy. What do you do? Is like you're trying to clean the mirror so that you can see better. So, because these are things which are 4,000 or 5,000 years ago, so you cannot say, oh, I'm sure that this and this. Well, if you are sure, how did they build the pyramids? We don't know. How did they mummify the bodies? We don't know. Yeah, there were successful attempts of mummification since the 50s and the 60s. You're talking about a duck, mummifying a duck. That's your best, to mummify a duck.
But Mr. Shammaa, maybe making or committing those mistakes might be on purpose, like creating on purpose misconceptions in history. You refer to people, mixing between truths and intentionally. Maybe even Champollion, maybe other historians made those mistakes on purpose. But that is not also true.
No, Champollion, I would doubt it. In a way, he was, as I told you, he was an intense guy. He was a nervous guy. Bad words came out of his mouth sometimes against the people who are against him in France. Oh yes, he sent a letter saying, oh, those people who are saying things about me in France, I'm gonna words which is beep, 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 beep all the time. So that's not something good in a scientist or in a researcher. Researchers should be, your science should elevate you to a higher level of dealing with things, even to those who will call you names. Stop being called names. Oh, I'll get you a paper like that big from big names in here. I've been called names. What are you going to say, Bassam?
He was too young to be questioned about that. He was too young. Whenever it comes to someone who died in his early 20s.
You probably will say, I'm sorry if you live like longer or something. But intention and unintentional, this is the important thing, because as I told you, between Champollion, that I think not intentionally, and between Josephus the Jew, and I think Josephus was intentionally rewriting history in his own way, leading to his own way. Documentaries are very important. That's why I've been talking about documentaries before air. We need to concentrate on that. We need to have Egyptology, Al-Masriyat, a channel, 24 hours. Egyptian hands. Egyptian hands. Documentaries.
Like
Please.
National Geographic, for example.
How come? I want to know something about a new tomb. I go and search for it in other, with all respect to the other guys, they are working. But the problem is, our Egyptian authorities in the past, they gave the permission to these, and they didn't give the permission to, for example, last week, remember, we were talking about the thermography, the infrared thermography of the Great Pyramid. I should have sold this event and marketed by millions of dollars and get the Egyptian TV Maspero only to be the responsible person who's going to market that all over the world. But going back to this intention and intention, Cleopatra or Cleopatra the Seventh. Everybody goes, oh, beautiful, oh, Elizabeth Taylor. Well, that's because Josephus the Jew wrote that she was this and this, and he even described her as a bad lady, a lady of night.
Yep.
And he said things that you wouldn't believe. It will make your hair go gray if you read what Josephus the Jew wrote about Cleopatra. Gave that impression that Cleopatra should be Vivian Leigh in Hollywood, and after Vivian Leigh should be Elizabeth Taylor with her, I don't know, I mean, she's gorgeous and everything, and her physique and how she was the temptress. Well, she was not. She was very ugly lady looking. She was very ugly looking lady. But she had a tongue. She had a word coming out of her mouth.
Yeah.
Plutarchus. Oh, describing Cleopatra the Seventh, very famous historian. Plutarchus, Plutarch in English. And in English he is called Plutarch, and he's telling us that maybe, perhaps she was not the kind of the lady that would attract everybody around. Maybe she's not that attractive. Perhaps he was polite. But when she utters words, she captures, that's the expression, she captures all what's around her. So this is a lady. Now we talk about a lady who ruled. Now I talk about lady, the conspiracies and this. I personally don't like her as a historical figure, but that's another story. But all the conspiracies, all the thinking, all this, all that. So taking you back to Pharaoh, one, we don't have. Two, the best word that you can say about the pyramids and Zionists and Jews is Bani Israel, the Israelites, were not existing in these days, or else they would have wrote it in the Torah. Because in the Torah, there is not one word for the word pyramid. There is not haram. There is not one word for the word haram, which is pyramid. One. Two, there is not one word for, you will be amazed, in the whole Old Testament, in the whole Torah, there is not one mentioning of the Star of David. How do you like that? The Star of David, the six-sided stars, and you know the 6 and the 8.
Yeah.
Well, there's the six-sided star, six-pointed star. There is not one mentioning. So how come it is one of the great? And then you go to India and you find it on the art.
Yeah.
You go to Iran and you find it on the Islamic art. You come to Egypt and I will take you by the hand and I will show you the so-called six-pointed star and the 8-pointed star. I will show it to you in Al-Mursi Abu al-Abbas Mimbar in the pulpit in Alexandria. In Beit al-Sinari, the Sinari house in Sayyida Zainab, Islamic. You will know, I noticed it in Al-Khalil in Palestine on the Salah ad-Din Mimbar pulpit, and I took photos of it.
I'm glad you said Al-Khalil, not Hebron, by the way.
Good for you. So here you go. So rewriting history, that's what I am doing. I'm doing that with the Egyptians for the last few years. And I'm teaching them that you have to question everything. So you cannot say, for good, you cannot say that Bani Israel were there in the days of the pyramid. And then my question to them is, then you worked on the Great Pyramid of Khufu, and you made that amazing genius work, right? Nobody asked, in my modest readings, if you like, in the last 34 years, not one person asked this. If you are saying in the Torah that you stayed for 400 years and more, and 600, and then you came to the Pyramid of Khufu, and then you worked, and then Khufu died, and then you stopped. What? You didn't work on Jadafra, you didn't work on Mankaura, you didn't work on Khafra, Kefren, you didn't work on those pyramids. Why? Why did you work on one pyramid only? And then you stopped. You were not enslaved afterwards. Only for the 24 years of Khufu.
But that is only repeated in certain circles, not on all spheres. I mean, building the pyramids by certain sector.
You know, I mean, when you talk outside...
Only Mel Gibson just reflected
and
that.
Look what happened to him
Apocalypse.
when he said, I mean,
right.
And now he's nil, he's zero. He's been marginalized because he said this and he said that. Now, what I'm saying here is this: correcting history is not only by books, not only by lectures. It should be by documentaries, should be by movies. You want to make a good movie, you want to correct history by a good movie, right? Black Cat, busted. You are still going to Zaqazik in Sharqiya to find a place there called Tel Basta. Basta is not an Arabic. What is Basta in Arabic words? Basta, Bastet, because the temple of the cat was there. How many Egyptians know, and this is not, I'm not blaming the Egyptians, I'm blaming education, I'm blaming the Ministry of Archaeology and Monuments and Antiquities. An excavation of the most exquisite, gigantic princess statue as if it was carved yesterday in Tel Basta. And the ministry made a platform and she's standing high with hieroglyphs and with theories. Who's she? Is she the daughter of Ramses? Is she this? Is she that? Nobody knows about this excavation. It's out of this world. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's exquisite art, exquisite carving. So how come you are not marketing this? I'm not saying even touristically. Among the people of Sharqiya themselves. Until the Minister of Youth took me, they invited me there and I gave a lecture there to the people of Sharqiya. And that's what we are going to do next month, inshallah, where I've been invited to sit with 23 universities of Egypt with Dr. Ashraf Hatim. They phoned me, and now we are going to go around all universities of Egypt, inshallah, God willing, to tell people about this rewriting Egyptian history.
And next week is going to be another day for more on our civilization and in the just good old days of our pharaohs. Mr. Bassam Shammaa, thank you very much for your input.
Thank you.
And by this, we come to the end of this very special segment of the Breakfast Show, but stay tuned on Nile TV International. We still do have a lot in this episode.